Today I will show you some new features of AnalyticsCreator which we developed in the last time. I'm speaking about Azure integration. Well, let's create the new repository. We call it AV. Okay. And we will create a new repository. In this repository, we will develop the data warehouse, which we will publish on Azure. Then we will create the active Azure Data Factory workflow to load the data into this repository, and then we will create the Power BI model located in cloud. Well, the new repository is here, and first we will add the new connector. This is a connector to AdventureWorks database located on my computer. I have to define connection string to this database. This is AdventureWorks 2016. Okay, if I will deploy this database to Azure, or if I will use this database as source in Azure, I have to define the Azure source type. In our case, this is SQL Server. Okay, save test connection established. I start the data warehouse wizard to create the data warehouse model. We'll just select some tables from human resources schema. Okay, then one table more. We'll create some. We'll import data, historize the data, create dimensions, and some facts. It's pretty usual. Okay, I think that's all. And now the new data warehouse will be created. Well, here you can see the structure of the new data warehouse containing the source layer, staging layer to import the data, persistent staging layer to historicize the data, core layer where we convert the data into facts and dimensions, and then the data mart layer containing the structure of our data mart. Later, we can create OLAP cubes for our Power BI models containing the same model which we have in the data mart layer. Let me add some additional transformations. For example, I will persist some transformations at persisting. Okay, at persisting. And here too, at persisting. Well, let me synchronize our data warehouse. And okay, the only was I will additionally do, I will add calendar dimensions to one transformation. For example, here in this fact transformation, we will add calendar dimension. To do that, we will use the field start date. Okay. Well, this is the data warehouse which we will create. Let me add some additional measures to our data mart layer. For example, distinct count and distinct count of employer and distinct count of shift. We added some measures. Let me add some measures here too. And distinct count of employer. And here I will add one more measure. Okay. Well, this is pretty simple data warehouse model containing several dimensions, 3 fact transformations. You can see them in the data mart layer. And now we will publish this data warehouse model to the cloud. To do that, we will create a deployment package. Okay. We will create the deckpack file. This deckpack file will contain the definition of our data warehouse, and we will deploy this deckpack file to the cloud. In this case, our server, here we have to add the connection string to our cloud. Let me get it here. Okay, well, this is our server where we will deploy to. We will use standard security. And now it is possible to create the Azure Data Factory 2 pipelines instead to define integration service, to create integration service packages. Usually we create integration service packages, we can do it too, but for Azure, instead to use integration service packages, we will create Azure Data Factory pipelines. Well, okay, and let's do it. Let me check if I forgot something. No, I think no. Okay. Well, the deckpack file will be created. Now the deckpack file will be deployed to Azure into AV database on our Azure server. Okay. We deployed and we created Azure Data Factory application, which we will import now. Okay, let's take a look on the data warehouse which we created. Okay, you can see this AV database. It was just created by AnalyticsCreator. This is database located on our SQL Server on Azure. Well, now I will deploy our application which we just created, Active Data Factory application. Let me connect to our data factory. This is the empty data factory which I created called AC Factory. In this data factory, I created 2 integration runtimes. One integration runtime, this is this auto resolve integration runtime, is bound to our SQL server, and integration runtime 1 is bound to on-premise data gateway located on my computer. Both integrations runtime are running and can be used with our in our data factory. I have nothing more, no pipelines, no data sets, and so on. And now I will import the ARM template, which I generated right now in AnalyticsCreator. I have to click on Import ARM template. and load file. We just created the deployment package is located in the directory deploy. This is this subdirectory, and in this subdirectory we have this file av.json. This file contains the definition of our ARM template. Well, and I can save. I have to define some parameters, the name of the resource group, and the factory name. In our case, this is AC factory, the factory which will be used to store this application. Well, review and create, and create. Deployment is in progress. Our ARM template now will be deployed to our data factory, AC factory. Okay, Q deployment is complete. Let me take a look on this deployment on our data factory. Okay, data factory, AC factory, auto and monitor. Well, first what we have now, there are two linked services. You see them. One of the linked services, this is the Azure Data Factory, our AV Data Factory, AV database, sorry, this is Azure SQL database, AV database, which we already created, and we have to bind this linked service with Azure SQL database to our integration integration runtime. Okay, let me do it. Okay, server name AnalyticsCreator, database AV, and SQL authentication. Well, test connection successful. Apply. Second, I have to bind this AV linked service to our on-premise integration runtime. Okay, this is integration runtime 1. This is the server name, database name. We will use Windows authentication using my credentials. Test connection successful. Okay. Well, let's take a look on the pipelines created by AnalyticsCreator. And okay, generally on the object created by AnalyticsCreator. You can see we defined here some data sets. For example, there are some data sources located on my computer in AdventureWorks database. And here are some tables located in the data warehouse database and AV database on Azure SQL Server. And we have here some pipelines. One of them, this is a workflow pipeline. This workflow pipeline should be executed to fulfill the full ETL process. You can see we have here one import pipeline, which will import the data from different sources. From, for example, in this case, this is an imp department table. We use the copy data pipeline to import data in this case. Well, then we have the historization pipeline to historize the data. Here we launch historization storage procedures located in the IAV database. We have the persisting pipeline to persist some data, but let's start this workflow package and take a look. I hope the data will be loaded in our database. bench works in the AV database on our Azure server. Okay. Success. Okay, let me take a look. Okay, this is our database. For example, influence. Yes, we can see the data were loaded and our Azure pipeline is working. Well, I created the data warehouse. I created the Azure pipeline. Now let me create the Power BI model for this data warehouse. We will create the Power BI model having the same structure like the data mart layer in our model. Okay, let me create the new deployment package. One moment. Okay, Power BI. In this case, we only will create the tabular OLAP model. Okay, and we will publish this tabular OLAP model in our Power BI cloud. Well, we have the Power BI cloud. This is my Power BI cloud where I will deploy my model. I created the new workspace. This is AV workspace. This workspace is empty. You can see it. Okay. Well, this is my empty workspace, and I can connect to this workspace using XMLA endpoint. This is the address of the XMLA endpoint of my workspace, and I can deploy my model to this endpoint. Case and database name will be AV. Well, and login will be this is my Power BI login. Well, I would select the compatibility level Power BI to deploy into Power BI Cloud, and create cube during deployment. I think it's NAS. We don't have to create the deck pack at the moment. The only what we will do, we will deploy our Power BI model, save and deploy. Wait a moment. Sorry, okay, there is one bug. One moment, measure, no, the wrong one. Something is wrong with the measure. Exactly, we forgot to define the aggregation function. Okay, distinct count, and now let's deploy again. Deploy. Okay. Okay, I hope the Power BI model was created. Let's take a look on it. Yes, you can see this is our workspace AV, and we have in this workspace the new data set. This is this model which we just deployed. Let's try to refresh it. Oh, interesting. Okay, schedule refresh has been disabled. If you okay, one moment. Let me take a look. This is our model, which we just generated. I will check. Okay. I will try to process this cube directly from my Visual Studio, from Management Studio. Okay. Process database. Ooh. I think okay, one moment. Data source has no credentials. Okay, that's correct. Let me. I forgot credentials. Mm-hmm. No, I have to do it here, I think. Moment. Settings. Okay. Well, one moment. Power BI, okay, sorry. Exactly. I have to. My mistake is I forgot to change the server name here. Let me do it. Yes, I know the reason why the deployment was unsuccessful. I forgot to define the source for my generated NOLOP cube. The source should be defined here, and I will do it now and save and deploy. Now I will generate my OLAP cube again. And I hope this time we can process this cube. Exactly, I forgot to define the source for my OLAP cube. The source should be defined here. You can see the database to deploy to use a source and generated files. Well, okay, this is my workspace. Let me try to refresh the data now. Okay, the data in my OLAP cube were refreshed, and now let's try to create the report. You can do it from scratch. You can see this is a Power BI model which we generated. We have here. Okay, let me, for example, get some facts. Distinct count of employer, for example, and here we can take department name, for example. You can see our Power BI model is ready. We generated our new data warehouse from scratch. We use the AdventureWorks database as a data source located on my computer. We generated new data warehouse. This is Azure SQL Server database. We generated Azure Data Factory pipeline, and we generated Power BI model. Everything was generated by AnalyticsCreator. Well, I think I'm finished. Okay, Peter, wir können wahrscheinlich schon zumachen.
Ja.
Unser Session.
Passt, halbe Stunde. Auch gut, oder?
Ja, also wie gesagt, man kann wirklich jetzt alles generieren aus Analytics Creator. Inklusiv wichtig ist, wie gesagt, man kann wirklich jetzt direkt die Power BI Modelle generieren, direkt aus Analytics Creator und das funktioniert. Diese Version ist zwar noch nicht veröffentlicht, ich muss noch einiges testen,
Musst
aber
du in Englisch reden? Der Martin ist da. Martin understand just English, I think.
Sorry. Okay, sorry, Martin. This is the new version of Analytics Creator, which is still not published, will be published on the next week. Important is now we can generate the Azure Data Factory pipelines, and we can generate the Power BI cubes or Power BI models, Power BI connectors. For example, if I want, I can start my Power BI. One moment, please. Let me start my where are you? Power BI desktop. And I just generated Power BI model. I can connect to this Power BI model in my Power BI desktop. And this model was filled up using Data Factory pipelines and so on. You can see this is a structure of the model which we just generated in Analytics Creator, and this is a Power BI. Well, you can deploy, you can create your Power BI reports if you want. And okay. I don't know. Important is we didn't use any integration service as SSS package to design the ETL processes. We used Azure Data Factory. The Data Factory was created by Analytics Creator. We can take a look on the Data Factory which we just created. This is our Data Factory. Okay, we have here some pipelines. One of them is this is a workflow pipeline, and only what you have to do, you should start this workflow pipeline to run your ETL process, to fulfill the complete ETL process. Okay. Peter, I think we can close the session.
Thank you, Dimitri. Yeah. Martin and Jochen joined us a little bit later, so maybe
you can send them
see the whole process. Hi, Jochen. And also we decided that we do it in 3 weeks again. The Azure Data Factory video, because today we are less people, and a lot of people told us that they cannot join us today. So we will do it in 3 or 4 weeks again, but much more detailed and maybe with a newer version. But now we have a 30 minutes video which we can load to YouTube, that some others can watch it. We have some customers and partners which were waiting for this functionality, and we are happy that we have it now. And also, Jochen, you are still waiting for this functionality for your solution. And yeah, I hope you can use it.
Yeah, sorry I was late, but really looks really promising. I have to have a deeper look on that, and then we can see.
Okay, sorry, it was pretty short session. Yes,
we can extend the trial version. Jochen, if you have time, should we do it?
You know, you mean the time now, or in that meeting, or the trial version of the product?
Your trial version, which you have installed.
Yeah, you know, I have written you my current situation, so
Yeah.
I will not be able to do it the next few weeks, but the definitive pipeline and
Yeah.
get rid of the integration services is so an important step for many of our customers at least. So to have another option here with RDF, yeah, that's really promising.
Yeah. And we have some new other plans with Azure Data Factory and yeah, signups and all the things. And
regarding the SAP connectivity with RDF, you use the native SAP table connectors, no?
At the moment, we would recommend you to continue to use Tailbite connector because the ADF SAP connectivity use the standard export interface of SAP, and you cannot, I think, import the too much data from SAP using Active Data Factory ADF connector because Tailbite created the own interface to load the compressed data from SAP, and they can load the big data. There's a big amount of data from SAP, and the standard ADF driver can, I don't know, load maybe 2-3 fields and 100 records from SAP, but if you want to load the big table, you cannot do it. I think at least this is the experience of our partners which tried to use SAP connector of Active Azure Data Factory. But you can continue to use integration service packages created by us. We can start them on premise or on Data Factory too. I'm not sure if SAP connectors using Tailbite can be launched on ADF.
Yeah, you can do that. We do that at one customer side, but you need that integration, special integration runtime with SSIS support, and then you can. There's a special Tailbite version for Azure integration services.
Okay.
But so Tailbite is superior in that connectivity part. We know all. But it involves some cost because that integration runtime RDF with SSIS costs a lot of more money than the native connector. So
of course. Well, sorry, we have not open SAP connectors, therefore.
No, you can do it. Good.
Okay. Yeah. Martin, you want to ask something for Dimitri? You have some question? Or Robert?
What?
Okay. When Martin and Robert, here's Robert.
Yes, I'm here.
You have some other question for Dimitri?
At the moment, no. Thank you.
Okay.
I had a call parallel, but yeah.
Okay, no problem.
So it looks pretty fine, and yeah, if I try it by myself, then I will find a lot of questions, as I know.
Sure.
Exactly.
Just try it.
Okay.
Okay,
so
then
thank you very
thanks
much.
a lot, everybody, for joining us, and see you soon.
See you
Have a
soon.
nice weekend.
Yeah. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.